the probable meanings of Hiram Abiff, Baphomet, and the beast whose number is 666, along with the probable truth about Osiris. I have stated all of this in comments, along with having mentioned one in a video, but am now compiling and presenting all of the information in this brief video. I will begin with Hiram Abiff, the character from Freemasonic ritual, or beginning with chapter 5 of the Bible's first book of Kings. There is mention of Hiram, king of Tyre, who is said to have provided materials for the building of the Jerusalem temple. Beginning with the 13th verse of chapter 7, another Hiram also of Tyre is mentioned, who was responsible for metalwork within the temple. The 2nd Chronicles book contains, beginning with verse 11 of the 2nd chapter, mention of Hiram, king of Tyre, sending a workman named Hiram my father or Hiram Abiff to Solomon. These, of course, being the same personages referred to in the first book of Kings as Hiram. Now, given the precedent of the use of Abiff in relation to Hiram or Hiram, I admit that I had no knowledge of the Hiram Abiff verse when I came to this conclusion, but it will strengthen my argument. Perhaps we should attempt a little rudimentary gematria using the name Hiram Abiff. Let's remove the two F's from the name, rendering the last name Abiff. Then let us take the values of the two F's, with F being the 6th letter of the Latin/English alphabet, and add their cumulative value to that of the letter I in the name Hiram Abiff. F plus F equals 12, I equals 9, 12 plus 9 equals 21. The 21st letter of the alphabet is used. Therefore, we have arrived at Hiram Abiff. Now, I have no source for the next step, with the only shadow of a precedent being the usage elsewhere of the practice, but I think that you will find it interesting if nothing else. When the letters UR and M are transposed in the name Hiram Abiff, the result is Hammer Abiff, an ancient king and lawgiver held in high esteem by humanists the world over, whom some would like to equate with the biblical Solomon, and from whose law some believe the Decalogue, if not the entire law within the Pentateuch, originated. On to Baphomet, the reverence of Imhotep, Imut, by the secret societies is the only fact that I can offer to substantiate this claim. My supposition is that the name Baphomet is the combination of the Egyptian word Ba, meaning spirit, and an anagram for the name of the ancient Egyptian priest, and later god, Imhotep. I only recently learned of the pronunciation Imut, which resolved the only real difficulty with my interpretation, which was the fact that, in some sources, Baphomet is spelled with an F or F's as opposed to the PH. On to the beast, 666. As I have mentioned elsewhere, I believe the Book of Revelation to be a quoted document likely disseminated by Christians of the household of Caesar, specifically Domitian. I believe that it used numerical references which would mean nothing to those who were not familiar with the Roman numerical and Latin alphabetical systems. The result would be that such texts could be read in the presence of such persons but convey a slightly different message to them from that which would be understood by the conspirators present. The Roman numeral system consists of only 7 characters, which correspond to letters of the Latin alphabet. They are M, with a value of 1000, D, with a value of 500, C, with a value of 100, L, with a value of 50, X, with a value of 10, V, with a value of 5, and I, with a value of 1. Therefore, MDCLXVI, with a total value of 1666. The Book of Revelation contains the concept of 1,000 years reign, chapter 20, during which the dragon would be bound. On the basis of this, let us remove the value of 1000 from the sum of the Roman numerals. We are left, of course, with the number 666, which appears at chapter 13, verse 18, with it being the number of the beast who ruled prior to the millennial kingdom. I have expounded in another video on the evidence to this effect, so I will simply state here that I hold that this beast was the Emperor Domitian. And finally, Osiris. It is undeniable that Osiris was associated with the growth of crops. It is also undeniable that he was associated with the sun. It is likewise undeniable that he was associated with, and called Lord of, the underworld. I will now give an explanation of those things attributed to Osiris which is contrary to the nonsense mystification of this personage, and the claim of greater antiquity of the esoteric explanation of his depiction as a green-skinned man, with the claim being that he represents a natural, unenlightened man. The ancient Egyptians did not know that the earth is roughly spherical. They saw the sun set in the evening in the west, and then they saw it rise in the morning in the east. Therefore, they believed literally that the sun was traveling, every night, through the underworld. In addition, they were aware, of course, that crops grow up from the ground, and, therefore, they would likely associate this with the underworld, and its lord. They might, therefore, give their anthropomorphic representation of the sun in the underworld, or lord of the underworld, green skin,